What do you think will happen in the next 30 years?
It will get warmer, it will get stormier, it will get wetter, it will get drier. Ocean ecosystems will decrease, the ocean will become more acidic. There is one good solution. Quit polluting.
Hello, how are you?
My name is Jim,
Nice to meet you.
and to meet you.
I understand that you are working with a model, mathematics model,
I
prevision,
do that sort of thing, yes.
and I work a lot with obviously weather model. I always ask myself that how the human can make something so complicated to predict the weather, no? Because the information are so many and the variables are so many.
This is a story approximately of the last 50 years that, given a mathematical basis for how fluids move, which is quite certain, we've known the equations for fluid dynamics for more than 200 years. They've been tested many times, they pass the tests, we rely on them, and are not easy to solve as equations. They describe the evolution of the air and the water, but we really need computers in order to not exactly solve them, we can't do that, but approximately solve them. And this has been the basis for weather, for ocean, for climate, for stars.
The same job, I understand that you do it for example, predict the climate change.
Have worked less on weather and more on climate and oceans. And that's a very different kind of prediction that is really more of a simulation. You're not trying to say what will happen on a given day 5 years from now. You're trying to say what are the reasonable expectations for the range of things that might happen on some such future time. We are not collecting enough data, but the Argo program that you just named is one of the best collections apart from the surface. Satellites are very good at seeing the surface. We see the surface very well. We see it in color, which means we see it in plants, we see it in wind, we see it in temperature. We're starting to see it in currents, but the interior of the ocean is dark to us. We have learned to essentially take the mathematical equations that we think are relevant and approximately solve them on computers in a way that just has progressively increased. The models are increasingly reliable without yet becoming precise, and maybe they never will be precise, perhaps in the same way the weather will never really be predicted for very long.
Exactly.
In my own work, I do studies. I have grants on what is called MCDR, marine carbon dioxide removal. There are several ways that you can try to draw carbon out of the atmosphere, capture it and sink it in the ocean. The great reservoir of what a chemist would call labile carbon on Earth is the deep ocean. And if you could put more down there, then you could take it out of the air and that could help. Kelp is potentially valuable from this climate perspective in two ways. One is that it can be a biofuel, and so it could, in that sense, take carbon out of the ocean and therefore the air, and it would go back into the air, but at least new carbon burning would not happen. The other is that if you can grow it and harvest it and sink it, then its carbon goes to the bottom of the ocean. Another idea is called fertilization, mostly iron fertilization. The small plants in the ocean, what are called phytoplankton, not only need macronutrients like nitrogen, but they need micronutrients, as we do, vitamins. Iron is one of them, and there are many places in the earth where if you'll take a boat out and sprinkle some iron in the water, you will cause a plant growth. And so if you could cause enough plant growth, then that carbon that the plants consume in carbon dioxide, which they take up in photosynthesis, would be in the ocean, and then some of it would stay in the ocean. The third idea that people have is called alkalinization. That is to try to increase the alkalinity of the ocean. And the way that the carbon cycle works in the ocean, that if the ocean were more alkaline, then more CO2 would come from the air into the ocean. The expectation is this will probably be, on average, the warmest year ever.
Yeah.
Not only are we progressing in our pollution and climate change, but we're moving into a very strong El Nino,
Yeah.
and that increases temperature of the world. Weather becoming more extreme.
Yeah. It's really scary. Over there,
It's very scary.
the only thing can happen is that people start to really understand what's happened, and then they want to change.
Approximately two things can happen. That is one. The other is the system starts to collapse. What we need is really almost a complete overthrow of our present sort of financial governmental system. And that will only happen if enough noise and street agitation. The students care about this enormously, but they feel helpless because nothing is happening. How can you both tell what you think is true and not be too pessimistic?
No, for sure.
And of course the affliction of age is pessimism, but the young do not wish to be pessimistic.
My feeling is that nature is changing all the time and adapting of different situations.
Nature has always been changing all
Yes,
the time.
exactly.
But now we are making it change in
Yeah.
ways that are not
But
healthy for us and other wildlife.
we just need to change us.
We just need to change us.
Yes.